Hey there, welcome to LSAT Demon Daily. I'm Josh Mansfield, a teacher with the Demon, and with me is Nathan Fox, one of the founders of LSATdemon.com and the weekly podcast Thinking LSAT. Nate, today our email comes from Tasha, and the subject is 2026 reapplication.
Hi, LSAT Demon team. I'm reaching out to get some advice as I prepare my applications for the 2026 term. I applied to a few schools during the 2025 cycle, but after attending their forums and events, I quickly realized I wouldn't qualify for their scholarships without meeting their LSAT and GPA thresholds. I was 3 points below their LSAT cutoff, but exceeded their GPA requirement. I wish I had known that earlier, but here we are, LOL. I've been reading that if you're applying to the same schools, you should update your admissions essays to reflect some type of growth. My challenge is that I don't feel like I have a ton of new accomplishments to highlight. My job has stayed the same with a consistently high caseload. And while I've enjoyed what I've learned, I'm not sure how much schools expect your application to evolve in a year and what they want to see change. I work 50 to 60-hour weeks, so my main focus is my LSAT score. I have a background in ADA and disability law, but I'd like to reframe that to reflect my growing interest in employment and health law. I want to be honest about where my interests are heading, but I'm concerned schools might not see the connection or that I am all over the place. I appreciate any and all guidance you can share. Best, Tasha. Josh, you just went through the application process. I think you only applied once, not twice. Is that right?
I did only apply once.
Yeah. Still, you can probably offer some advice here. What do you think Tasha should be thinking about as she heads into a reapplication?
Yeah, I think Tasha is unnecessarily worrying. I'm reading in, and there's some details here. Working, busy weeks, high caseload, background in ADA and disability law. I mean, this tells me Tasha's working a professional job with real experience.
In a law firm, it sounds like.
In a law firm. And so, Tasha, even if you have not had maybe your personal statement is about an accomplishment that happened last year, and maybe you feel like there has not been a substantial update since that big accomplishment. That's fine. Like, I don't need an accomplishment in the gap year that you've taken. This is an opportunity to update your resume is going to reflect that you stayed at the job. Update your personal statement, continue to make it just better and keep rewriting it and editing it and take the time to make it look good. Get the LSAT score you need for the scholarships, but you sound like a phenomenal applicant. And ADA and disability law connected to employment and health law, direct correlation between those two.
Yeah. It's the LSAT that's going to make you a different applicant.
Mm-hmm.
You show up with 5 more LSAT points here, instead of being 3 points below their threshold, you're a couple points above their threshold. You're now just a different candidate entirely. And as far as like growth on reapplying, they didn't not give you a scholarship because of what your personal statement said in the first place. They didn't give you a scholarship because your LSAT wasn't high enough. So the higher LSAT is the thing that's going to really move the needle here. Not only that, but I mean, definitely update your personal statement, right? If it says I've been a paralegal for 18 months, you need to update that. I've been a paralegal for 2.5 years.
Right.
And there's a big difference between somebody who's been a paralegal for 1 year and somebody who's been a paralegal for 2 years. So you absolutely should say that. Yeah, but other than that, I just don't care that you don't have new amazing achievements. I think it's more like, if they do compare your application from year to year, they're going to want to see that you put in the effort to update your personal statement.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily that it has new stuff to talk about, because your personal statement already should have been talking about these professional experiences, and that doesn't have to change. But that additional year is an accomplishment in itself.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you made it, you survived another year in this meat grinder of 50 to 60-hour weeks. That's great. I would be careful about talking too much about your interests. I don't really think it matters. Talk about your experiences.
Mm-hmm.
Make it look like you are inevitably going to go kick ass in law because you've already kicked ass in law. And you're hopes and aspirations, I don't really think it matters whether you want to do ADA law or disability law or employment law or health law. They're there to learn about what you've done and who you are. And like what you think you might want to do after law school is going to change while you're in law school anyway. So I just wouldn't worry too much, and I wouldn't take up too much real estate in the personal statement talking about that stuff. Instead, just talking about what your day to day looks like. Talk about an interesting case or client that you worked with, but keep it about you and what you've actually done. And I think you're going to be just fine.
The one, especially you highlight, Nate, don't talk too much about your aspirations. Especially, I could see a world where there is, because she says, I'm concerned they may not see the connection. Please, please, please don't spend 2 paragraphs trying to explain to them how ADA and disability law is going to inform your interests in employment and health law.
Yeah.
That is a waste of personal statement.
You're already in the law.
Right.
Like, let them make, and it doesn't even matter. You know, like Tasha says, I'd like to reframe that to reflect my growing interest in these other areas. Why? I want to be honest about where my interests are heading. Why are we talking about your interests at all? I don't care. You are a successful law firm worker bee. They understand that successful law firm worker bees become successful law students, become successful lawyers. You don't need to have exactly the whole plan mapped out, and you're under no obligation to forecast your full legal career to them. Just let them make the reasonable inference that you're going to kick ass in ADA and disability law because that's what you've already kicked ass in.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about your accomplishments, talk about your actual experiences. Talk a lot less about your mental states and what you think you want. Nobody cares because it's easy to want things. It's harder to actually do things. So talk about the things that you've done.
And Tasha, you've done a lot of great things.
Yeah.
You are
absolutely.
You are, based on this email, you are not going to have a lack of things to talk about. So make sure it's focused on the right things. Save the wants and aspirations for your future career for the Office of Career Development. That's who you talk to about your interests.
Yeah. Admissions is there for your LSAT and your GPA. And when they see work experience, they go like law firm work experience. They go, great. You don't need to like show them why that makes sense. You know, again, I'm concerned that schools might not see the connection. What? You work in a law firm. You're already working in a high caseload environment with 50 to 60 hour weeks. There's no connection that needs to be made.
To be honest, that 3 points below cutoff to 3 points above scholarship requirements.
Oh.
Your essay might be in a different stack with different students read by different people of how much money are we going to give, not are we going to admit them.
Yeah.
Do not stress. Write an essay about what you've accomplished, why you're a good worker, and make sure you kill the LSAT.
The people who need to make the connection are like, I was a Broadway performer and now I'm going to law school.
Right.
What? Why? But somebody who's in a law firm who wants to go to law school, they're just, that connection is already made. You don't need to sell them on the idea that you're a good candidate for law school. Just talk about what you've done and you're fine.
Anything else for Tasha?
Nope. Wrap it up.
Email daily@lsatdemon.com if you'd like to ask us a question or share some LSAT or law school admissions news. Thanks for listening.